Thank you. Minister, if you could give an update on the preliminary appraisal for bypass of Julianstown, which was sent to your department by Meath County Council last December, and if you could provide details on any decision made or taken by your department, and if you intend to proceed with the project and when. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Munster, for your question. The improvement and maintenance of regional and local roads is the statutory responsibility of the relevant county or city council in accordance with the provisions of Section 13 of the Roads Act 1993. Works on those roads are funded from the council's own resources, supplemented by state road grants. Prior to the financial crisis, applications for funding for road improvement projects would have been considered as part of the specific improvement and strategic regional and local road grant schemes. However, the extent of the cutbacks in grant funding during the recession meant these grant schemes had to be curtailed after 2013 because expenditure on maintenance renewal was falling well short of what was required to adequately maintain the regional and local road network. Project Island 2040 does provide for the gradual build-up in funding for the road network, but it will take some time to reach the level required for the adequate maintenance and renewal of the network. For this reason, there is limited scope at present for funding projects under the specific and strategic grant programmes. The primary focus is on implementation of the 12 regional and local road projects identified for development, subject to necessary approvals in Project Island 2040. Any additional projects proposed by local authorities for consideration under the specific and strategic grant programmes are assessed by the Department on a case-by-case basis. All projects put forward by local authorities for consideration must comply with the requirements of the Public Spending Code and my Department's Capital Appraisal Framework, and it is important for local authorities to prioritise projects within their overall area of responsibility with those requirements in mind. Under the capital project appraisal process, a preliminary appraisal has to be submitted in relation to each proposed project. In this context, the National Transport Authority's transport strategy for the Greater Dublin area provides the overall policy framework for transport development in the region. As part of the corridor options appraisal, the strategy considers the measures needed to meet travel demand on the economic Drogheda to Dublin City corridor and focuses largely on public transport options and improved rail services. The proposed electrification of the rail line to Drogheda under Project Island 2040 reflects this approach. The draft preliminary appraisal received from Meath County Council regarding a bypass of Julianstown will therefore have to be considered with the above factors in mind. Against the backdrop of the need to action to address climate change and limited resources, I am conscious that investment has to be focused on the projects which best deliver on the government's overall policy projects, and this means looking critically at proposals for new roads where public transport is being enhanced and where investment has already been made in high-quality infrastructure such as the M1.
Imelda Munster.
Thanks, Ciarán. Minister, the report assessed 4 different solutions, or separate solutions, as well as a do-nothing solution, and the bypass of Julianstown emerged as the preferred option, not only in the multi-criteria analysis, but also the preliminary cost-benefit analysis, and the cost was expected to be in the region of 20 million, but the estimated benefit over the lifetime was to be 80 million. Now, I just want to explain to you, because I don't know if you personally had a chance to read the preliminary appraisal that was submitted to your department, but I want to visualise. It's a small picturesque village. There are around 600 people living in that village. There are 20,000 cars and heavy vehicles, heavy load vehicles that travel through that village every single day. 20,000 cars and trucks travel through that village every single day, Minister. So not only would a bypass, when the motorway was planned, the idea was that it would take all of that traffic away from Julianstown. It hasn't done that. There's still, as of last year and this year, there's still 20,000 vehicles a day. So not only would the bypass reduce travel time, but it would also reduce carbon footprint. So on that basis, and the fact that we're in the midst of a climate emergency and the objective is to reduce carbon footprint, would you reconsider this and your department and put some priority on the project?
I think my department will liaise with Meath County Council in relation to the appraisal. I've taken note what the Deputy has to say, and I hope that she's noted also what I have to say and consider it in that light. I have nothing to add to that.
Thank you.
You have commuters from Laytown, Bettystown, Drogheda and Julianstown drive through the stretch of road on their way to and from Dublin, and the corridor between Drogheda and Dublin city centre is forecast to have the highest growth over the next in transport demand up until 2025. So if we're serious about reducing carbon emissions, and bear in mind, given the volume of traffic on a daily basis, the road is not fit for purpose anyway, regardless of the volume of traffic, so that in itself should flag up things. But given the fact that, as we said, we're in a climate emergency, would you prioritise it, given that you're taking, if you're to give funding for the bypass and the benefits of a lifetime, you're taking 20,000 vehicles a day out of a village with a population of 600 people?
It's the TII and to my department.
Thank you.